Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our first episode of the Sleepy Parent Podcast. It's a little something to get you through when all the hard times with the children, all the sleepless nights, all the hard work all you great parents do out there for your children. Now, this particular podcast is dedicated to Gemma and Dennis. That may or may not be his name. It's how I've got it written down here, so if that is your name, I'm so sorry, Dennis. Now we go over to our first topic, and we know Dennis is a massive football fan. So because of this, we've spared no expense here at the Sleepy Parent Podcast, and we've shelled out, and we've got a world exclusive. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, break yourself. The world exclusive. All right, and it's the exclusive of next year's season rundown. We've managed to get it before anyone else, before all the football shows, all of that. We've got it here for you, and here it is right now.
Tomorrow night on Sky Sports 4, it's the clash of the South Coast as the irresistible force of Portsmouth meet the immovable object of Southampton in a clash that's going to go down in history as one of the many football matches that are happening this weekend. Meanwhile, there are old scores to be settled at the Dell. Scores like 1-0 and 2-2 that have happened in previous years. Who will win this time between Sunderland and Blackburn? Then on Sunday, live, the battle for the North West as Shrewsbury meet Macclesfield in a match already being described as on this Sunday. Coming up midweek, the Giants of Charlton play host to the Titans of Ipswich, making them both seem normal-sized. Then Tottenham play Bolton for the second time this season to see who'll win that. Also, Manchester United return to Aston Villa for a game of football to determine the victors for this year at least, and indeed at most. Looking ahead to March, every football team will be playing football several times and in various combinations. If you can catch all of that football here, where we'll be showing all the football all the time. Catch all of the constantly happening football here. It's all here and it's all football always. It is impossible to keep track of all the football, but your best chance is here. Thousands and thousands of hours of football, each more climactic than the last. Constant, dizzying, 24-hour, year-long, endless football. Every kick of it massively mattering to someone, presumably. Watch it all here, all the time, forever. It will never stop. The football is officially going on forever. It will never be finally decided who has won the football. There is still everything to play for, and forever to play it in. So that's the football. Coming up, watch it, watch the football, watch it, it's gonna move, watch the football, it's football!
Yes, so there you have it, Dennis. It's all for you, Dennis. We've put it out there. It's all for you. We've spent fortunes on it because we know how much you love football. So that's all for you, Dennis. Now, we're going to go over to our first song of the evening, and our first song is by those lovely, lovely boys, Green Day.
Summer has come and passed. The innocent can never last. Wake me up when September ends. Like my father's come to pass. 7 years has gone so fast. Wake me up when September ends. Here comes the rain again, falling from the stars, drenched in my pain again, becoming who we are. As my memory rests, but never forgets what I lost. Wake me up when September ends.
You didn't tell me you didn't.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there we have Green Day, Wake Me Up When September Ends. We couldn't play this whole song because we don't have the rights for it. Yes, Green Day are very, very naughty boys. Now we're going to go to our second topic of the evening, and it's quite an interesting one. It's one of my favourites, actually. Our next topic is cooking and baking, and it's an important one for children as well. It's always best to get children involved in cooking and baking as early as possible, get it ingrained in them. And a lot of parents find it difficult to get them involved or keep them interested. So my next guest actually specialises in keeping children excited and interested in cooking and baking. So our next guest has a unique skill. And this unique skill is starting to take off now in the UK. It's called baking beets. I'm going to take you over to my next guest now in the kitchen. Yes, it's the legend herself, Miss Mary Berry.
Now I'm going to show you how to make one of the most effective breaks of all. This break is called the Electro Funk Daddy Superstar Break. Now, for this, you'll need that's an 808 clap, and also a bit of that's a dry snare. Then you'll also need some that's a 909 clap snare, and then of course some that's a kick, and then that's some bass, and some and for good measure, that's the synth. Oh, and no break, of course, would be complete without a bit of a shuffle. So for this, we're going to use some household white noise. You can get this from your TV. I got mine from Sainsbury's. Now, you have to make sure you've filtered out some of the middle frequencies, otherwise your white noise will sound very much like this does, which is you don't want that. We want a much more tinny sound with a bit of rhythm to it, so let's see if we can't use this household sieve to filter it out. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Who'd have thought, eh? Now, let's give it a spin and see if it's got any rhythm. Definitely got rhythm. Fantastic. Now I'm going to add the and one by one in order. Let's see if it works, shall we? If you don't get all your hair in your mouth, you can certainly ensure that you at least get a decent break. It's worth noting at this point that some people like to put fish into the recipe at this stage. Sometimes canned salmon, sometimes tuna. Don't do it. I'm now going to put this in the oven, and it's going to bake for 3 years at 700 degrees Fahrenheit. Here's one I made earlier.
Yes, thank you, Miss Berry. That was fantastic, and it looks lovely. I'll have a slice later. Now we go to our next song of the evening by the fantastic LCD Soundsystem.
And you about the same, but still again, all of you tonight. When I was a little boy, I lay down in the grass. I'm sure you feel the same if I can fuck you here sure what we would do. Run outside and find someone to show it didn't mean a thing. Seems it could be simple if I could just grow up. Never gonna get it, no, 'cause I'll never grow. But I'm never as tired as when I'm waking up. No, I'm never as tired as when I'm waking up. And it feels like I'm in love again. No, it feels like I'm in love again. No, it feels like I'm in love again with what you do. But not with you. But not with you.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there we had LCD Sound Systems with Never As Tired As When I'm Waking Up. Now we move on to our next subject, and it's actually a breaking news story in the midst of all the terror and violence that's going on in today. It's good to hear the people's stories, so we go over to one of our American correspondents now, Miss Boutros Ghali, and she's got a story from America, a woman whose house got set on fire tragically, and goes over to her live.
One resident describes her horrifying experience when she first realized the complex was on fire.
Well, I woke up to go get me a cold pop, and then I thought somebody was barbecuing. I said, "Oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire." Then I ran out. I didn't grab no shoes or nothing, Jesus. I ran for my life. And then the smoke got me. I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that.
According to the apartment manager, the fire started in a woman's home who is wheelchair bound. She was treated for smoke inhalation at a local hospital. There were no other reports of injuries.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's one of our stories, that poor woman. Now, we are shortly closing into the end of the show. However, I've got a few more bits to go back to, and we are going to go straight over now to our sound stage, where we have a fantastic guest with us called Jason, and he's talking to us on the matter of children really doing your head in, really, driving you crazy sometimes. It happens with all parents. Sometimes your kids just drive you absolutely up the wall. So here's something from Jason.
My kids made me crazy because when they were little, like, there's nothing like a 6-year-old that will drive you insane. Like a 6-year-old, like 6-year-olds walk into a room like this. What am I gonna up in this room? You know what I mean? They do. They're like, okay, that's going down. I'm gonna pull that dog's tail. Like, I would look at my 6-year-old and I would literally be like, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? Like, you look at them like, why are you that? You're like a little idiot. Like, you want to, and they're children. Like, I've said that to my kid. You're like a little idiot. And then it comes out of your mouth and you're like, oh shit. I've grabbed my son by the arm, grabbed him, and said some shit to him that you should never say to a 6-year-old. Like, get the over here. Oh, I will crush you. I told him that. I will crush you into kid dust and then blow your dust body away. A 6-year-old will believe that shit. I don't want to be crushed. You know what I mean? That kid is now 16 though. That's the problem. This kid is 16 years old. He's 5'11". He's 190 pounds. I never felt more like a pussy in my life. I'm at my house walking through my living room where I pay the bills, right? My 16-year-old comes walking the other direction and does one of these.
Jason, Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, Jason hasn't realised that we are a radio show and he can't actually see, you can't see what he's doing. He's doing one of them puffing out your chest things, you know, these chavs do, where they puff out their chest at each other. He's doing one of them at each other. Carry on, Jason.
Yeah, I went like this, no, and I fell on the floor. And then he looks down at me and goes, I will crush you.
Thank you, Jason. We love having you on the show. I really want to have you again. Thank you for coming, Jason. Now we're going to go to our final song of the evening. Oh, it's almost that time. We go to our final song by Mr. Gary Wright.
I've just closed my eyes again, climbed aboard the Dreamweaver train, trying to take away my worries of today and leave tomorrow behind. I believe you can get me through the night. Ooh, Dreamweaver, I believe we can reach the morning light. Fly me high through the starry skies, baby, to an astral plane. Cross the highways of fantasy. Help me to forget today's pain. Ooh, Dreamweaver, I believe you can get me through the night. Ooh, Dreamweaver, I believe we can reach the morning light. Though the dawn may be coming soon, there still may be some time. Fly me away to the bright side of the moon. Meet me on the other side. Ooh, Dreamweaver, I believe you can get me through the night. Ooh, Dreamweaver, I believe we can reach the morning light.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was Gary Wright with Dreamweaver. Thank you for listening this time, folks. And I've just been told by my producer it's Gemma and Andy, not Dennis. Sorry, Andy. Not Dennis. They're good sports. Thank you very much. Our special podcast for them this time. I've been your host, Aaron Newby. Join us again for another Sleepy Parent podcast. Night night.